Trying something different. We're just going to narrate, go through some stuff I'm building. So, first of all, this thing, I'm trying to make it so that I can see how much I'm burning per hour. Hey, go ahead and look at the most recently updated plan and see where we were at. There's also a session for this exact same repository that was trying to debug this, but I got distracted. We're trying to fix quota data. Use 5.4 mini high sub agents, split the tasks, report back. Your job is to take this bug hunt to completion and come back with an RCA. Cool. So this is a little tool I made, which my whole thing is you want to reduce the amount of idle time that your agents have throughout the day. And so the problem there is you want to do that while you're not just like doing stupid stuff. So I see a lot of people on the internet where it's like, oh my gosh, I have all these agents running. And you're like, well, what are they actually doing? And so for me, that's been the hard part is actually thinking through what is something that is worthy of them working on. And it's kind of this double-edged sword because on one side of the sword, you know that this is where it's going. You know that what started with prompts quickly became tasks and now is becoming workflows. So if you were to go through your day and audit your time and then write down all the things that you're doing in great detail down to the smallest atomic unit, then you'd have a deterministic workflow and you'd be able to then map that to a set of tools that are done and basically have computer use go. And that's a lot of what I think about. So that's one side of it. But then on the other side of it is when you go to try to not have your agents just sit, you're pushing yourself to have them running. And I've learned that you might end up building stuff that you didn't really need to build. And that's kind of this funny thing. So that's the paradox here. It's a really good problem to have, actually. But that's something I've been thinking about a whole lot is how do I just make sure because this is what I think people are going to be tracking. It's like, how do you make sure these things are running? And so that's a cool tool. I made that, I don't know, like a week ago. And then I just thought of this feature, which should be that, I mean, I'm flying through a lot of tokens. So I want to be able to kind of track it because if I have room for maybe doing like scratching that curiosity itch, then I'm down. Like, cool, let's burn the tokens. But as of late, I've been flying through them because I've come up with workflows that actually do deliver the stuff that I want to build. And it does deliver it every time. Like I think software's like straight up figured out for 99% of the stuff that's out there that is, at least getting it to a working fashion. I don't want to talk about scalability, but I'm blown away by what you can do nowadays. And so other things that I've been thinking about, let's take a look in here. So this would be an example of something that I found interesting. So the agents protocol, right? So what is that? It's this agents folder. And so I have messed around a lot with making my own agents. And when you hear the word agent, it's kind of confusing because most influencers and people talking about them, they're good at making YouTube videos or they're good at coding or they're good at design or they're good at product. They're good at like one of those four, but they're not good at all four. And I'd like to think I'm pretty good at that because I've done all those jobs. And how does that play into the agent thing? Well, it's because when you have a overview, like a top-down look at what an agent is capable of, you really start to think of it as more like an employee, like a fractional employee, someone who with the right set of skills, context, workflows, and access, they can go and do a lot of good work. And so what I've been thinking and what I've been playing around with a lot is how do you take the tools that we have today, not the necessarily these patterns that come up every other day. Like what are the things that won't change, to quote Jeff Bezos, with models and workflows? Well, what won't change is that the models are just going to get better and better and better and better and better. That's not happening. Like, sorry, that's not changing. And what won't change is that RAM will get cheaper, which means compute will come down, which means context windows can grow, which means we basically don't have to over optimize on different ways the technology works because the hardware will outpace and the research will outpace these little tricks that the person at home is going to do. So you don't, for example, need to use RAG a lot of the time. That was figured out like a year into the, you know, bull run on vector DBs raising a ton of VC. But you can just do cheap lookups. And so all that said is like for us, we just need to figure out, okay, what do your tasks look like and how do we translate those into agents? And so when I say the word agent, it's kind of like a misnomer because of the people that market them. They're like, this agent does this one thing, but you kind of have like a hub, like you have a couple different pieces that make OpenClaw what it is, or make Hermes what it is, or makes Parker and my agent what it is. It's a memory mechanism. So in the case of OpenClaw, one of the things that made it clever, we covered this on my YouTube channel a few months ago before he popped off, but what made it interesting was that he allowed you to connect to different apps, and no one at the time, if you're OpenAI or Claude, you really couldn't do that. Like it wouldn't make sense because you're actually kicking people out of your app for them to go do something else. And there's like security measures, whatever. But that was one part. Another part that was interesting was it was more proactive. So it had a heartbeat, which is basically just, hey, you're up, you're awake. Another thing that was interesting was the soul. So there's this document that Opus made popular that basically like defined the mission and the values and all these things around the model. And so, hold up. So, what does this mean? This means that the people that are taking advantage of the fact that you could literally build these things out that do pretty much anything that you can do on your computer, they're going to be pretty far ahead. Like, that's what I'm most focused on. That's the movement that I see. So, I see it as a, if you're capable of coding, if you have the brain for it to be able to prompt your way through this, you should absolutely have your own because you can make it super custom. And that just means that you could have it do whatever jobs you want to do. So in my case, I have a couple things in here that I have different patterns for. So it's like I have a code repos place with auto research in it and another reference file that has some video editing clips or scripts that will do this video edit. I have deliverables, so things that I'm making. You could also think of this as an artifact. I have a directory, and so directory actually covers quite a bit of stuff in here. It has checklists. So think about when you work on something yourself, or when you hire someone to then go do the thing that you did, usually using a checklist. It's like, oh, even the mental model of it. Like when you go check somebody's work, like what are you looking for? You're checking for things. And so I have those that then associate with different workflows, which are really the primitive of how I'm making this work. So in here you can see integration discovery. This is actually super meta. This is for figuring out how do we take the thing that I'm doing that I've written all the steps for and turn it into a potential durable workflow. And are there integrations that exist? Are there not? Are there MCPs or APIs or any sort of surface area on the internet that we can leverage? If there's not, we need to figure out something crafty. Maybe we're going to use like a browser playwright or something. But all these map back to those workflows. And then you have process checklists too. So there's different things that have processes. You can actually see the atomic execution plan in here. And then there's other references in here around the swipe file. So the swipe file has examples of stuff that whenever I see on the internet, I'm like, whoa, that'd be good. I need to have that. I want to use this for something later. And so in my case, it's some sales information. It's thumbnails, which I haven't added any yet, but there's a workflow around that where when I see a YouTube thumbnail, it can accept an input of either an image or a URL. And this gets into the control plane, which basically means like how I connect with it. And it's through Telegram and Discord. But I could send either one of those for a YouTube video where I say, I like this thumbnail. And then there's a workflow behind the scenes where yes, it does store it there, but then the workflow does more than that, where it's actually figuring out what about this thumbnail makes it work. What were the stats associated? So it's figuring out all this metadata and then classifying it. So giving it a tag, putting it as a doc that's associated with that thumbnail. So when we go to make a new one, which is another workflow, and I say, this is the type of video we're doing. What type of thumbnail do we think we should have? Is it a comparison one? And there's about 30 different of these categories that I didn't come up with because I don't have millions of people on YouTube yet. Soon, but it's from Colin and Samir, who are famous YouTubers that teach this stuff, and they take all the information and put it into presentations. So you can just get like wildly specific, and you can see other things in here, like what kind of CLIs do you have access to? What are all the tools? So I actually had it print out every single CLI that's relevant on this local machine. And then you see the code repos, which is associated with that. You see the MCP, which are the ones there. There's a swipe file that actually determines how that works, workflow file. Then you have docs. So docs, this gets into probably the sauciest thing that I've figured out in the last couple of weeks, which is just how do you make durable workflows, or how do you make a build loop that always lands? And it's with a exec plan plus exec write plus it takes executive planning, which is long horizon tasks covered in great depth across a couple different blog articles on OpenAI. I took those, I read them, and then I had 5.4 Pro go and figure out what's the contract for this. Like, what's the input, what's the output? There's a protocol called plans.md, which is part of OpenAI. And I got it to basically give me a really good prompt for that. And it's the exec plan writer. And then I used that a bunch over the last week and a half, and I'm like, this is awesome. But then it pairs with ask users unspecified questions or underspecified questions. And that combined with the original prompt from Claude. So there's this thing that, like, if you didn't have all the answers to the question, it would be like, wait, what about that? What about that? It pokes holes in your plan. Those two became this grill prompt. Now there's a guy named Matt Pocock. He's the TypeScript wizard. He also does, I think, AI Heroes, what's called now. English dude, great accent. But he had this grill me one, just a couple lines. I just took the best parts of those three and then made a Codex version of that. And so you start out with this plan that has an input of you just talking through what the feature would be. And when it takes that input, it generates the draft of the executive plan, which is phases and decisions. And it's just this massive thing, but it's amazing. It just works. And you kind of work through that together. I have it printed to chat. We go back and forth. And then once it's ready to go, I say, okay, cool. Spin up a sub, 5.4 high. That's a sub agent. And go run the grill on it using the grill prompts. It grills it. And then the orchestration agent is actually answering what those interview questions are. Now, I did this manually for about a week and a half to just see what the quality of those questions were. And most of the time it nailed it. If I'm in a position where it's like something that's not that big of a deal, I trust its answer because I've seen the answers and I like them, then I just have it just go. And I say, meet with the person who's going to grill. You're going to answer all these questions. Once you're done with that, it's going to update the plan. And then I'll look at the plan when it's done. And then I have the third prompt, which is the build loop. So I have played around with this and it's just blown me away. So I'll show you one of them. It has the front matter at the top. And so let me see. Front matter has summary, status, and read when. So cheap lookups. This is like what I was talking about, just like having like lightweight little tricks. But these things are massive, right? And it has concrete steps, milestones, and it's just looping back until it's complete. And so that's all the plans in there. You can see that there's a plans.md. This is part of best practices protocol. Check out those articles. Then I have integrations. I have Final Cut Pro. So things about Final Cut Pro, when I want to be able to work with that software at the lowest level, which isn't even that low. Basically, what are the surface areas there? So there's some stuff in there. And the reason it's not in API docs because it's not an API. Then I have some prompts in here. This is that 3-step build loop that I've talked about. Pretty beefy, but just incredible. The grill one, pretty beefy, but incredible. And then the writer. And as always, you want to what I've found at least, is you don't want to just jump straight into making a skill or making really any scaffolding. It's like just start with the prompts and get them to work. And your eval, like make jokes about this, but it's like, what's the vibes of it? That's just you seeing like, is this working for my use case? Because your throughput isn't going to be a bajillion users for these things. So when you run evals, it's just, does this work for me? So it works for me. And then at that point, I go and actually make it a loop. So there's other things in here where I've thought about, well, if I want to have a reference where on Telegram I can access the cursor CLI because it has a better harness for Claude than Claude itself, fun fact, then it can go and spin that up. And other things in here, journal, that's a pattern that is from OpenClaw. I've been just running this locally, so it's not even touching the journal because I haven't been using my Telegram. And then reviews is something that I'll think about baking later. And then finally, the actual like runtime of this thing. So you have channels. These are what the client is. You have actual clients. So there's those. You have connections. There's core, executor. There's all this stuff. And so I am very, very pumped on this. There's other things that I've added where it's like, oh, I need something that's a little bit more deterministic, if you will, in terms of like the input for getting tasks in, because I just use a to-do list and it's like, okay, well, either things 3 or Godspeed, they both work. So what I could do is if it's a workflow that I'm trying to get out of my head, I'll just scribble it down into Godspeed. And then there's like my notes are in there. And then when I ask the agent later, I'm like, hey, check Godspeed. It'll look for any of the tasks that are in there that have a tag. And if it has the appropriate tag, then it actually goes and does a Codex 5.4 high run with research, with context, with a durable workflow that's designed to be able to take in these, unstructured ideas of mine with like a lot of detail. Like, I think this needs to happen, then that, and then I think they have an API. I'm not sure. Check this GitHub repo for inspiration. And there's actually a set of steps for when you go to check a repo. So it's like calling other things. But then it comes back and you end up with this tidy, really well researched proposal for like, this is how you're going to basically give your bot this job. And then you go and you build it. So that's a really long, rambly video, but I just wanted to kind of brain dump some of these things and explain how they all work. I've been using them to build my latest product and like put rails on this. All this is going towards like, when it comes to building the software side of things, it comes to like having the contracts in place so that you can stay focused. So that's what I also built, was a system called Ship by Sunday, where you essentially just have the most optimized set of instructions, well, I actually made like a binder. It's kind of crazy. I basically wrote a curriculum for myself on how I could ship a product from scratch that solved a real problem in less than 48 hours, because I've built so many of these things and I've done all the different jobs. And so I just put it into a program that I said, wait, the delivery mechanism should be like videos paired with all the stuff that OpenAI needs and Codex needs for marketing, coding, and design, because they literally have like prompt packs. And when you give it to a repo, when you pair those prompt packs with a repo, AI just lights up. It's just so much better. So that's what I'm excited to announce as well, is that I'm launching that. That's at manmeetsai.com. And you can see the link below. It's got hyphens between the word because, we don't have it yet. We don't have it like that yet. Probably going to upgrade. But you should check that out. And it's going to be live, or it is live right now. So go check that out. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, you can drop them below and I'll address them in a future video. All right. See you guys.